So, dear students, this is Dr. N. Venkatachalapathi, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. I am going to discuss on bending in metal forming. Look at this metal forming process comes under the manufacturing process in the second year, second semester course for the mechanical engineering, aeronautical engineering branches. Okay, this manufacturing process, the first unit which covers the metal casting process, second unit which covers the fabrication process, third unit mainly the metal forming or mechanical working of metals. The main concept of the mechanical working of metals is it is the process of transforming materials into a different shape. That shape, the whatever the amount of raw material can be effectively utilize the raw material. That is, there is a wastage of material is negligible. Wastage of material is negligible. 100% of raw material can be utilized same amount in the final components. Okay. Now let us see the bending. The term bending, it is the one of the most important widely used in all household applications and any some automobile and some aeronautical application. That curved shape, bent shape and all can be formed in this simple metal forming process in bending. Let us see the what do you mean by the bending process, how the basic concept involved in the bending process, and how we can able to explain this bending with the help of a simple diagrammatic sketch. Let us see the bending means there will be some straight sheet or workpiece or some plate. Okay, so this straight will how you can transfer into a curved one or bended one. Okay, so the change by bending out of the original straight or even condition, bent twins standing with a knees slight bent. Okay, so like that how our knees even hand will bend. So that's what there is a straight axis, a straightward workpiece or straightward sheet or plate. When you apply the pressure compressive force, how it can able to bend. The bend may be again it can be subdivided into different type of bendings, that is V bending, channel bending, edge bending, U bending, etc. So when you're speaking about the simple bending process, there will be a straight workpiece or straight sheet is there. When you apply the compressive force, that you can see there will be an expansion thinning the sheet, and the compression force placed exactly at the vertical. Okay, when you apply the compression force in the outside, it may be expansion and thinning the sheet can be occur. So inside we will call it as a radius. Inside there will be radius, inner radius, and radius of the neutral axis. For example, this will be the neutral axis. Neutral axis. So above the neutral axis there will be an expansion. Inside the neutral axis, below the neutral axis, there will be compressive force. This is a tangential force will be acted on that, and this is what a straight sheet or rod will apply the compressive force. It will be try to bend. The best example for this windows, doors, how you can able to bend, which type of bending can be performed, that you can see. Okay, this is what a simple technical definition of bend. The term bending is the process making a straight, originally straight or even condition can bend into a some slight bend, either V or U type of bend can be obtained, and or strongly inclined. The incline may be either it may be 45 degrees or 60 degrees require of the our application that can be used. So, and usually it can be used with on what bending is going on, what type of bending is going on, that we'll discuss in detail. Let us see there are different types of bending process. Okay, so what different type of bending? V bending and channel bending, edge bending. So majorly there is a types of bending. The first and foremost thing is the V bending process. First and foremost thing is V bending. and second one we will call it as a and edge bending, third and fourth important channel bending, and air bending. So like that, there is a number of classification of bending is there as per the requirement of our application. So in general, the most common method which can be used is the V bending. This is what V bending, or we can also call the air bending also. Okay, in which there will be a punch and die or V shape. Look at this is a punch and die. So there will be a punch means like this V shape. So how we can able to have this punch in a V shape. Okay, so whenever there will be a straight sheet or plate, when you apply the sponge in a V shaped thing, and when you apply the compressive force, automatically tend to bend within certain angle. So that is what simply a V shaped punch or die to be used in the V type of bending. And what happens when the punch pushes? When the punch pushes on the sheet, it is a V-shaped groove may form in the V die, so which causing to bend. So suddenly, there will be suddenly if you keep some force here, it's supposed to bend. It is a straight one. If you keep it, it try to bend. That bend shape it is in a V type. So V-shaped groove in a V die exactly it can fix in that V punch. Okay, so this is also called the if the punch doesn't force in a sheet in the bottom of the die cavity, leaving space or air underneath, that is called the air bending. So the second one is the bottom bending. So another important edge bending means there will be one thing and we have to keep the sheet, and when you apply this pressure and how this will be tilt into some edge shape. This is called edge bending. Edge bending may be obtained based on that the edges to be performed, that we can call it as an edge bending. Another channel type of bending. Channel means like a U shape. This channel shape of bending also can be performed by especially mixie jars and all that bending exactly square and cylindrical shape when we obtain that type of bend to be used in particular application. This is what about the interesting type of bendings. One is V bending, second one is edge bending, third one is channel bending, and fourth is also called it as air bending or V bending. Now look at what are the different type of sheet metal forming process. In that the bending is one important secondary process where you can able to perform the simple bending, either V or edge or wiping die to be used. So look at this is very interesting how they will perform the edge bending. According to the scientist layman's terms, what is meant by edge bending? So edge bending is a thin material which is used to seal the exposed and raw edges of the plywood. So look at so there will be a die and we should be able to keep the workpiece, and there will be we can keep some pressure pad. So this is the workpiece. Okay, this is called the workpiece, and above the workpiece you can keep some pressure pad in order to changing in order to doesn't change its vibration, changing it the position. So without pressure pad, what will happen if you apply pressure? It may be lifted in different direction. So and here this is called wiping die. And obviously when you apply this pressure through wiping die, and what are the shape of this vertical shape, it may be to tilt at the edges. So similarly like that any type of rectangular shape or one curved shape may be obtained in this type of case. This is what how the edge bending with wiping die can be used in the form of the edge bending. So according to the layman's terms, it can be used with very thin materials and it can be to seal exposed and raw edges of the plywood. So that workpiece will cut as a plywood, and some sheet also can be used. And here another interesting term called heat sensitive adhesive. So we have to keep the heat sensitive adhesive on one side is applied to the board, and while other side which acts as a barrier. Okay, so it's some dirt and moisture will be there that can be cleaned and with some lubrication. Okay, and this another thing is edge bending, which is carried out by pushing on the top tool, that is like a wedge to be kept. Okay, so here you can see the first initial position. After performing the weld, this wiping die come out in the downward direction. Okay, and the pressure pad, main function of the pressure pad is in order to hold the workpieces properly without changing its dimension, without changing its original dimension, so that the work, whatever the shape of the work, can be obtained with effectively like this. So like this bend shape can be obtained in this form. Okay, and here one interesting, we can add some bend allowances. Wherever the bend allowances will be there, you should able to do pi into alpha plus kt, some formula to be used whenever the angle is given, which will be converted into radians and degrees, and the inner radius plus some constant factor into thickness. That formula will discuss at the end of this session. And before going to discuss that, how do you determine the bend elements? The first, this is one, the edge bending. V bending, do you know? There is a V die and a V punch can be used effectively. That V shape of the form can be obtained. But in the case of edge bending, which is carried out by pushing on a top tool shaped like wedge downwards to the bottom tool. Okay, that shape as a some way, and the sheet or plate to be bent in the place between the two tools, then bent together under a great pressure and high pressure to be applied. Okay, so if it is keep it in a perpendicular, again this shape also will come out to this shape. Okay, so whatever the shape we can able to set in a proper manner. There will be a die, then workpiece, and above that there will be pressure and pad, and apply the force, and we can use the wiping die. How much type of bend should be happen, that type of thing only you can able to perform. Now let us see the channel bending. That is what I told. Channel in the sense like this, exactly. So this is called channel. Okay, so this channel type of bending can be performed also very simple manner. So typically performed when this aesthetic or practical demands of the industrial project required this shape. Some small angle. So obviously channel means this bending is 90 degrees. This is also 90 degrees. For example, V bending, it should be there. It is obviously we can able to perform some 30 to 45 degrees V angle. Okay, so some 60 means it V can be elongated. Okay, and sometimes L shape, L type of bending. Previously, we can use the edge type of bending. Okay, so this is the channel bending. Channel bending is a square or rectangle based type, depending upon some application of channels in windows, doors also can be widely used and performed. Okay, and one interesting thing is tube tech bending, which is also called as to manipulate the wide range of metals, either ferrous or non-ferrous metals. Non-ferrous metals such as aluminum, carbon steel, carbon stainless steel, titanium, which are most widely used this type of channel bending. So here another interesting thing is the inner radius and the external radius. What is the thickness to be used? What is the length can be used? And like that, any channel bending. So this is the radius, how we can able to perform internal radius. This is the thickness, and this is the width of that channel also very important. Okay, so this is called the width, and this how much A1A, and this is about the thickness. Okay, all these parameters are widely preferred, and whenever this formation of the radius, either inner radius to be added, or type of thickness, some constant factor to be added. So this is what about the channel bending. Channel bending mainly performed when the aesthetic or practical demands of the initial project. The customer required some aesthetic appearance, obviously you can able to perform these type of bending. So now let us see we'll discuss another important advantages and limitations or disadvantages of this bending. So in general, bending is a cost effective process. Okay, sometimes some net shape when used the low or medium qualities, these are very most economical in bending process. And some parts usually light in weight and good mechanical properties such as strength, toughness, and ductility and brittle. All these mechanical properties also can be improved by this simple bending process. And every process there will be some disadvantage also will be there. The major disadvantages is in this process, variants are sensitive to variations in material properties. While applying the banding, depending a ferrous metal, how much amount of force is required. Some ceramics, what is the force is required. Some plastic material, how much amount of force and pressure is required to form a single shape also. Okay, so that is what about some disadvantages. And some complex type of bending also somewhat difficult to go for this. Only simple either channel shape or V shape and edge shape can be done easily. So many complicated shape like S and curvy shape and all, it will take some expert, some skilled person is required to perform this. And also you should able to calculate the bend allowance also should determine effectively. And look at the what are the basic advantages of this type of bending is it is easy to perform, a simple in design, very low cost tool can be used. That is only pressure pad and some what you call edging means some wiping die to be used light in weight. And it is also a low cost tool. This will be a low cost tool. Even we can also fabricate this simple dies and all, and it is a fairly precise. Whatever the object can obtain this type of bending, it is a high quality, precise in this shape and size. Okay, and in this limitations also we have to say that limited shapes like V bending, channel bending, edge bending, L type, like that shapes also can be easily performed. Okay, and you see limited shapes only, but the complicated shapes cannot be. That's what a disadvantages. And the spring back is difficult to estimate. So, for example, if you are applying a pressure pad, here look at, if you don't have pressure pad, what will happen if you apply the wiping dye? It will come out outside, or even if you keep also some spring back technique to be used. When you apply, when you open the pressure, suddenly some spring back technique can be used in order to perform in good. That's why here spring back is difficult to estimate how much it will come out. The same amount of pressure can be applied, while spring back cannot receive the same amount of the pressure. Sometimes some precautionary things to be taken to consider. And even this bending, some materials are difficult to bend without tearing or nicking. So even a simple plastic and ceramic can be easy done. Some ferrous, non-ferrous metals, they should have while applying this bending technique. What will happen? Some necking, it tend to tear. Some teared one out can be occur. That again to be eliminated by some extra finishing steps, finishing methods to be taken into the consideration. That is what about the advantages and limitations of the simple bending process. Now coming to this application, as per the application is concerned, is very very important. So this application, look at you see this figure mainly describe the windows and doors, windows and doors for any interior decorated houses and all, that you can see the channel bending wherever needed, some V bending and different type of bending can performed in this as we shall sheets also. So that is why the best and important application for this bending is windows and doors and round windows and pivot windows. Some architectural window frames or some rounded doors can be easily done this bending process. Especially you can see the in abroad like Malaysia and USA, other uh, countries, what will happen? All the even that windows doors also totally in a plastic. They didn't use the sheet metal also. The ready-made plastic, like fiber reinforced plastic, can be used. That material also can be easily bendable with the different type of application. That either wave bending or channel bending or some wiping to be used for some edge bending technique also can be performed. And that is what, especially when you are speaking about the construction application, variety of applications, they have a some different type of bending can be performed. So that is why constructional field, so many bending, even you can see the that steel also, even while performing steels in a square form and rectangle form to prepare the in the preparation of the what you call combination of that cement and so some important what you call mixing of the mixture in the doing that construction of the house and all. Okay, and another interesting application is the transportation. So you can see the even if you see a simple car, so how many bends it has, even the tires. Okay, this is a one type of bend will be there. So after here another type of bend it will be there. So all this comes under the most widely used the bending techniques can be used. Okay, so all these are the sheets also at a time. Some semi-automated machines also can be performed to have a some high quality bending can be takes place. Okay, and even if you take the heavy vehicles like buses and even ships. Ships also so many bending V channel and different cross sectional. Here also you can see it is a one two square and one rectangle shapes also can be easily performed by this bending techniques. Even aeronautical application, even helicopters, preparation of the helicopters also, lot of material can be transferred into a some required spherical shape and V shape and channel shape that you can see the elliptical shape part also can be very much essential needed for the in a aeronautical application. Even two wheelers like scooters and some Hero Honda and gear vehicles also they can able to perform this bending techniques. Okay, what is our customer requirement? Even this handle also you see how much tend to bend. If it is a straight means how can you able to tilt? This is a general live example. All the students when you are traveling in the two wheelers, you can see that the handle should not be straight. It should be some curved one. That handle should be some curved one. How you can able to perform? So if it is a straight, when you wanted to uh, in a straight tilting direction, when you wanted to uh, in any crossroads and all, how you can able to tilt? If it is a straight one, cannot able to tilt. So that is why in variety of application, lot of transportation is car and bus and even ship, even two wheelers, aeronautical applications, and you can see the some buses also will be there. Some regular, what you call some uh, buses and some other what you call even 108. All these type of vehicles also can be most widely techniques can be performed in this bending process. Bending process comes under let us say metal working or mechanical working of the metal process. So that is why here the main important classification of the bending is mainly simple. First one is the V bending technique, and second one is the channel bending technique and the edge bending technique. Simple variety of bending techniques to be performed in variety of not only construction application, some transportation application, some even industry also. Industry, some preparation of some channels and setups, some aluminum partition. All this comes under this welding is very important technique. And some of the events wherever when you wanted to organize what you call some conference and seminar, some very big functions, some college days, etc. That way of preparation of the shows and events also, lot of even asbestos sheets also, some bending technique also will be performed in order to, when it is a rainy season also, it cannot stay the water at the same. If it is in a bending position, obviously the water will come out down, so that it will be good important application as per our requirement. And also some interior design. So interior design and not only in houses, even some temples, some archaeological designs, whatever that bridges, all this comes under this. All cannot be a straight one. It should be some bending technique to be used to perform some interior design. Even you can see temples also, a lot of some archaeological designs will be performed. Wherever the long distance also can able to visible the that temple statues and some triangular pyramid shaped things also can be easily viewed interiorly, so that even though bending is a simple process, in variety of applications can be performed as per requirement of the customer and industry. So that is why the simple bending will be advantageous for the lot of constructional, transportation, industry, and some of the trade shows and events like seminars, conference, college days, etc. Some interior design in a home or some function hall, some anywhere there the designing also will require some simple bending techniques like V channel and edge bending. So this is what about the simple bending application. And now let us see what are the factors. What are the factors to be considered for determining the radius, bending radius of the sheet metal. So this is already I told. This is what bend allowance. Okay, how we can able to determine the bend allowance is, so this can be a standard formula A into pi divided by 180. So why the pi radians can be counted into degrees. Okay, pi by 180. R is the inside bent radius, it is in meter or mm. Okay, where T is the material thickness. So whatever the thickness of the material, either it may be L shape or channel shape, this is called the thickness, and this is the inner radius R, and K is the constant factor. So that K is the constant factor. So similarly, this is the external. This is R1 internal, R2 is the external radius, and up to this fillet. So this is the length of the L1 and L2, and this is the thickness. The thickness also can be performed. So in this case, simply for example, you can see that it is 20 total. It is 20. This is 25. So total length L1 plus L2 plus in between some bend allowance will be there. We have to add this bend allowance in this formula only. You can able to total length of the sheet can be calculated with this formula. This is L1, L2 plus L1 in the sense this is 25 plus 20 plus this bend allowance should be calculated using this formula. Bend allowance is the pi into pi by 180 into A. A is the bend angle in degrees. Here if it is a perpendicular means 90 degrees. Suppose in V bending, if you see some 60 degrees or 45 degrees, whatever the amount of some cases, they can able to tilt like this and they can able to perform. Okay, this type of weld shape also can able to perform. Okay, so first of all, this can be divided into some section. This is the exact L1 and this should be L2, and here this is L3, and this is the radius inside R1, this is outside R2. So here we are supposed to calculate bend allowance. This is R3, this is R4. So total this is L1 plus L2, L1 plus first bend radius BA1 plus L2 plus BA2 plus L3 plus BA3 plus BA4. So like that formula, you can able to calculate total length of the sheet or workpiece. Okay, even these type of simple problems they may ask it in the competitive examinations like GATE, IAS, and some important exams. So they may ask the simple problems. So generally, the students they think that manufacturing process is a purely theoretical subject. No need to worry about for the competitive section like that they think. But initially, if you know this formula, you can easily calculate the length of the sheet or strip. So if you don't know the how do you calculate the bend allowance, even it is difficult to answer such type of simple questions. Most probably even the GATE examinations also at least every couple of years they may ask this type of questions. How do you determine the bend allowance or total length of the sheet or strip? Oh, this is the formula. Either it may be L shape, first L1 plus L2, this bend allowance. This is what about this thing. Similarly, if you take this type of configuration, first L1, then BA1, then L2, BA2 plus L3, this BA3, bend allowance at 3 and bend allowance at 4. This is the total length of the strip can be calculated using this relation, this formula. I hope the student can understand clearly and look at the main factors which will affect the internal radius of the bending in a sheet metal. So first, the bending angle is one of the most important factor. So bending, depending upon the bending angle only, can able to perform better. Okay. At the same time, sheet metal thickness will be low. Even by applying less pressure, also it can able to bend easily. And sheet metal material. So material generally either it is a ferrous material or non-ferrous material, or this material is a ceramic material or plastic material. Depending upon the material only, how much amount of the pressure or force is required to form a single V shape or channel shape or L shape or T shape, these type of shape. And another important factor is top punch radius. That is what the punch inner radius and external radius. And how do we determine the bending force, bending KLEST square into this bend allowance? Okay, that what are the shear strength, what is the length, width, and all the allowance. Allowance also will be an important factor in order to determine the bending force also. And there will be a bottom die and top die. So here, look at the in this case how we can perform. So this is the die, bottom die. Here wiping die. So initially you can keep here how you can perform. And similarly in this V also you can see this is the V die. And above punch will be there. Punch also will be taken as die. This is a bottom die. The top die will call it as a punch. And exactly the V shape of punch can be performed in order to get exact V shape with the known angle, either 45 degrees or 30 degrees, etc. Okay. I hope the student can understand clearly about the sheet metal in bending process, that is V bending, channel bending, L bending, etc. These are the advantages: easy to perform, simple and low cost, and fairly precise, exact dimensional accuracy can be performed in this process. And even the disadvantage also, very limited shape like V channel, L, and reverse L can be performed. Complex shapes like S and some curvy shape and all, it is a complicated. So obviously spring back also one important concept, where when you apply that, when you remove the pressure, how much effective, how much percentage can be with back, spring back can be occurred. So to eliminate some pressure pad also can be provided. And some materials are difficult to bend without tearing the neck. So even by a less thickness, small thickness strip is there. When you apply pressure, after applying the pressure, if it is a sharp V type, means there will be cracking and tearing can be occurred. So in order to avoid again that leads to be some wastage only. So that is why, depending upon customer requirement, what type of bending, how much thickness, what is the length, all you can calculate it. Then you are supposed to apply this simple bending process. Okay, this is what applications, variety of construction and transportation industry and trade shows, events and interior design and decoration. And these are some of the factors which will affect the radius of the sheet metal. Okay, bending angle, sheet metal thickness, material, top punch radius, and bending force, and bottom die, and operating temperature. So when you are doing in a cold working process, there is no need to heat. When it is a hot working, the sheet also can be hot. In a heat can be certain temperature. The temperature also above its recreation temperature, what will happen? It leads to be a lot of force or pressure is required to in order to change the single shape also. Okay, so this formula can be performed to do the simple problems in competitive examinations like GATE, IES, etc. Thank you for the students. In the next session, I am going to discuss some more topic. Okay, thank you. Good luck.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.